Okay, here we go. There it goes. All right. Hello, students. Now we enter chapter 4 of our textbook. And this is the first chapter where we get into the body systems. So we're going to talk about the integumentary system, otherwise known as the skin. Functions and structures of the skin. Make sure you know these. The functions of the skin: protection, water resistance, temperature regulation, vitamin D synthesis, sensation, excretion and secretion, and social functions. The skin is the largest and most vulnerable organ in the body. You can see here is a picture of the skin. We have an epidermis, a dermis, and a hypodermis. Your true skin is referred to as the dermis. That's the biggest layer of the skin. So your epidermis is above that. That's a really fine layer of the skin that flakes off. And the hypodermis, otherwise known as subcutaneous fat, is below the skin. So some word definitions. Let's take a look at these. Dermal, what does it mean? Pertaining to the skin. Cutaneous, what does it mean? Pertaining to the skin. Dermis is the skin. Epidermis means pertaining to above the skin. And squamous cell, it means scaly cell. Functions of the epidermis, that's that layer that's on the top of the skin. It's just a really thin layer. It protects the underlying structures. It withstands pollution of life. It sheds superficial cells and renews them, and provides a waterproof barrier. Well, then we have accessory skin organs. And if you take a look in your book on page 62, you'll see this figure right here, and you can see the different accessory organs that are in the skin. And these accessory organs either have no function or they have a function within the skin. Another term within the skin that has different, meanings based on noun or adjective, or being an adjective, singular, plural. So we have a cortex means outer layer. Cortices is a plural form of cortex. And then cortical is an adjective. It means pertaining to that outer layer. We have different glands in the skin. These, again, are your secondary organs. So you can see on page 64, figure 4.6, the different glands that are in the skin. We have a merocrine gland. These are mainly found on the palms, soles of the feet, and your forehead. An apocrine gland. This is what produces thick, cloudy secretion. Ceruminous gland. This is in the ear because cerumen is another term for earwax. And your mammary glands, those are going to be in the reproductive system. Again, here's that figure that I was referring to. You can see the locations of some of those glands we just talked about. The other part of the skin is the nail, so your fingernails and your toenails. This here is a figure 4.7 in your textbook that shows you the different areas or the different components of the nail. And then, what is the root word or the combining form for nail? It's onyc, onycho. Make sure you know that. All right, disorders of the skin. The first area that we talk about is going to be skin cancer. So this is just a form of skin cancer called squamous cell carcinoma. If you break down the term carcinoma, oma is your suffix, and carcin is going to be your root word. So oma means mass or tumor, and carcin means cancer. So it's a mass or tumor of cancerous origin. Next, we have our basal cell carcinoma. Carcinoma is the same thing. It's just a massive tumor, a cancerous tumor in the basal cell. And then we go to malignant melanoma. Melanoma is a little bit different. Oma means mass or tumor, but melan means black. So let's take a look at this a little bit further. We have melanin, again, it means black. Melan means black. Melanocyte, cyte means cell, and melano means black. So it's a cell of black. Remember, start at the end and then go to the beginning. And then, like I stated before, melanoma. Oma means mass or tumor, and melon means black. And some other terms that have to do with cancer are metastasis, metastasize, and metastatic. When you have cancer that metastasizes, it means the cancer has started in one part of your body and has now traveled to another part of your body. So breaking it down, meta and stasis. So stasis means to stay in one place, but when we put the meta beyond, it means it goes beyond staying in that one place. It means it's traveled to someplace else. Metastasize. Eyes means to affect in a specific way. Again, it just means that it's going to affect in a different way someplace else. And then metastatic. Stat means to stand still. And this means that it's not standing still. It's going someplace else in the body. Other conditions, decubitus ulcers, otherwise known as pressure sores, when patients are laying or sitting on an area too long, the skin begins to break down. And then we go into dermatitis. Dermatitis is kind of an overall term meaning inflammation of the skin. Look at the term dermatitis. Itis is your suffix, and that means inflammation. Dermat is your root word, that means skin. Like I say, it means inflammation of the skin. Another term, ichthyosis. This is just a condition that represents like scaly skin because ichthy means fish. So when they're referring to fish, it just means that the scaliness of the skin, such as in psoriasis. Other terms that are in the skin have to do with like allergic reactions. So take a look at these different terms with the allerg in it and see if you can identify the different variations of this allergy. Other infections of the skin, human papillomavirus, otherwise known as warts, and verruca. Verruca is just another term for warts. Varicella zoster virus, that's your chickenpox, and a herpes zoster is your shingles. Then we go into infections of the skin, fungal infections. Fungal infections, they start off with the primary word of tinea, and based on their location overall throughout the body will be, there will be another term added onto it, like tinea pedis. That's going to be the fungal infection of the foot, otherwise known as athlete's foot. And this is a picture of athlete's foot. Looks pretty painful. Tinea capitis is going to be a fungal infection on the head. And then tinea corporis is going to be a fungal infection on the body. Another type of, I guess, yeast-like fungus is going to be your candida or your thrush. You can see here they've got white patches in the mouth. That's why candida means dazzling white. Parasitic infections. Lice is a parasitic infection, otherwise known as pediculosis. And then a house dust mite is another type of parasitic infection. And then you have bacterial skin infections. Staphylococcus aureus is probably the most common infection of the skin. And then there's different terms for the lesions that you get from the skin infection. So there's a furuncle, a carbuncle, impetigo, and cellulitis. Take a look at cellulitis. Break it down. Itis means inflammation. That's your suffix. Cellule means small cells. So putting it all together, it's an inflammation of small cells. And then we have it down at the bottom, necrotizing fasciitis. You break it down. Necro is your combining form, means death. Ties means pertaining to. Ing is the quality. So it's the quality of pertaining to death. And then fasciitis, fascia, is a layer underneath the skin, and then itis is inflammation. Collagen diseases, there's systemic lupus erythematosus. Erythematosis, break it down. Osis means condition, and erythemat means redness, so a condition of red. Rosacea, there's no other breaking it down. It just means rosy, and that's where you get those like rosy cheeks. And then we have scleroderma. Derma means skin, and sclero means hard. So skin that is hard. Other conditions, psoriasis, we already talked about psoriasis. It just means itchy. They have the outbreaks of the skin where it kind of like looks scaly, red, and then they're itchy and they can be painful. Vitiligo, this is where they are lacking the pigment in their skin. So you can see on the hands right here, they've got white patches. It's common in African Americans where there's certain areas of their body that they don't have the pigment. Look at the term dermatomyositis. Again, break it down. What is the combining form? What is a root word? What is a suffix? If you look at it, the suffix is itis. It means inflammation. Dermato is your combining form. That means skin. Myos is a root word. That means muscle. So this is inflammation of the skin and muscle. Accessory skin organs. Acne. Acne just means point. It's just something that you have to memorize. And then seborrheic dermatitis, you can break this one down. You can break it down into the word components. So sebo is your combining form. It means sebum. Rhea is going to be another suffix, and that means flow. Ic is another suffix pertaining to. So pertaining to the flow of sebum. And then dermatitis. Dermat means skin, and itis means inflammation of the skin. Then we have diseases of the nail. Remember earlier in this lecture here, I said that the root word or combining form for nail is onyc or onycho. You can see here, this top term, onychomycosis. So starting at the end, our suffix osis means condition. And onyc means nail, and myc means fungus. So condition of a nail that has fungus. Parenchyma. This one, we've got per, which is a prefix, means alongside. Onycho means nail. And then ia means condition. So condition alongside of the nail. Next, we get into burns and injuries of the skin. There are 4 different levels of burns. You have a 1st-degree burn, 2nd-degree burn, 3rd and 4th-degree burns. So let's take a look at what they mean. Your 1st-degree burns. This is just basically your sunburn. It's just redness of the skin where the skin is still intact. Even if it's blistered, it's not a 1st-degree burn. But once it blisters, then that's actually a 2nd-degree burn as seen here in this picture. And then you have 3rd degree and 4th-degree burns, which is whereas it's through the entire skin, all the layers of the skin, and then into the muscle and into the tissue deeper than the skin. When you have burns, we rely on regeneration to regenerate that skin. And if that doesn't occur, then we might have to do what's called a graft, and we'll get into that. So regeneration, break it down. What does it mean? What are the different word components? Here we go. RE means again, gener means to produce, and ation is the process of. Like I stated, if you need a graft where you take a piece of skin from someplace else, whether it's your own skin or somebody else's skin or a false skin, that's a graft. So the prefix in these terms is going to help identify what type of graft it's going to be. So if I do an autograft, that means I'm taking the skin from myself, another place on my body. If I do a homograft, it's going to be skin from another person just like me, so from another human being that is the same as myself. If we do allograft, it's going to be another other type of graft. A xenograft, it means foreign. That means a foreign type of graft. And a heterograft means a different type of graft. So when the burns are categorized, they're categorized based on the rule of nines. And if you take a look at figure 4.25 on page 76 of your book, you'll see the body, and it's broken down into the rule of nines, with the exception of the genitalial area. The rule of nines means that it's based on percentages by 9 or multiples of 9. So if you look at the picture, the head and neck area it's a 9% with 4.5 being the anterior, the front, 4.5 being the posterior or the back. Each arm is worth 9%, 4.5 front, 4.5 back. Each leg is 18%, 9 in the front and 9 in the back. The anterior trunk, meaning the front trunk, is 18%, posterior trunk, the back trunk, is 18%, and then again, the genitalia is 1%. So that's how the doctors will categorize the burns. Wounds and wound repair. Just gives you an idea of how wounds repair. They repair from the inside out or from the bottom up towards the top of the skin. If you have a deeper wound that requires some sort of intervention, we may have to do some suturing. And suture means to seam. We're going to, seam it up just like you were sewing, right? And many times people have what they call keloids. Keloid itself means stain, but this is where they get that big scar tissue that almost looks like sometimes mass or tumors. And these keloids can be painful. Integumentary terms. So here's some time to practice some of the terms that have to do with the integumentary system. Let me read these out to you. So we have pathology, diaphoresis, alopecia, anesthetic, subcutaneous, axilla or axillae, cutaneous, dermatologist, eschar, eumelanin, albinism, macrophage, adipose, abrasion, and edema. What do these terms mean? Look them up, break them down, identify what the prefix is. If they have a prefix, identify what the root word or combining form is. Identify what the suffix is if it has a suffix, and then come up with what it means. Our final section are procedures and pharmacology. So what is a diascopy? Let's break it down into the terms or into the word parts. A microscopic examination. How is that broken down? Take a look in your book and see if you can break it down into the word components. Same thing with biopsy. Break it down. What does it mean? What is the combining form? And then what is the suffix? Take a look at here. Bio means life. Opsy means to view. So to view life, a component of life. Another therapeutic procedure, cryotherapy. What does it mean? What's the combining form? What's the suffix? Cryo is your combining form, and that means cold. Therapy is your suffix, and that means treatment. So this means treatment of cold. And you can see here that this type of cryotherapy, they're burning off warts with very, 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 very cold stuff. Oof. All right, so then we have pharmacological agents. What do they mean? Anesthetics, antibacterials, antifungals, antipyretics, biologics, keratolytics, parasiticides, and retinoids. Again, break them down. Find the different word components and identify what those word components mean to put it all together, starting with the suffix first, the end, and then going to the front of the term. And then take a look at this. When it comes to pharmacology, we've got, you can see, a base word, that pharmac. But there's some different suffixes that changes the meaning of the word, gives you different definitions. So take a look in your book. What does pharmac mean? And then the rest of it. What do each of those suffixes mean, and putting it all together. All right, review. Just really quickly review. We've got a few terms here on the left with some definitions on the right. Match them up. What do they mean? Vitiligo, rosacea, psoriasis, scleroderma, dermatomyositis, pruritus, edema, and excoriate. Match them up. Other review, Okay, A, B, or C. To freeze and kill abnormal tissue. Which one is it? A, B, or C? What's an ointment or cream to relieve itching? A, B, or C? Another name for a pressure ulcer. A, B, or C? Which one is it? Shingles. What's the term for shingles? We talked about that. Treatment to kill lice. What is the treatment to kill lice? And remember, lice is a parasite. And then what is a topical treatment for tinea pedis? And tinea is a fungal infection. And that wraps up Chapter 4.